ladies and gentlemen, we are back finally with another Jeep Talk. Man, I know it's been a while, but as you can see, I've been doing a lot. And that's not even the stuff that you can't see. That's only the stuff that you can see. I've been doing a lot. Just to give you guys an update, to give people a chance to join the room. We haven't done a Jeep Talk in a minute, and I'm happy that I'm able to do it now. But as you guys know, we just got back about last week. I think last week. Yeah, we just got back from San Andres, Colombia, where it was a great time, and Barranquilla, Colombia. You know, my second home, and a lot of a lot of construction going on around here. A lot of the times, what I don't want to do, I try not to do now. Before I was a little bit less likely to do it. I mean, I was a little bit more likely to do it. Now, not so much. Is I try not to drop the same different content in the same span. So I try to do more rollouts when I do different things, like the San Andreas rollout, the Barranquilla rollout, the Santa Marta rollout, the Minca, Colombia, the Bogota rollout. Like, I try to do the rollouts because it keeps everything on the same idea versus jumping between a country and another country, or a country and a Jeep Talk. But since we're coming to the end of the rollout for the San Andres, Colombia, I felt as though I could finally do a Jeep Talk and get a lot of stuff that I've been thinking about that I wanted to have a Jeep Talk with. Recently, my son has now been going to camp at Rutgers basketball camp. We'll talk for one more minute, then we'll get it started with the Jeep Talk. Just give you guys an update. He's been going to Rutgers basketball camp, and he's been liking it. He's been doing it, so I've been waking up early to take him down here and then driving all the way back up to work a different way. So now I have a little bit more time, and I hope that the service is a little bit more better with these Jeep Talks. Well, at least for this week and for next week, because after next week he goes to Italy with his mother. We actually just had to go get him a passport, and one thing I realized is that my daughter had a passport when we went to Ghana, and my daughter at the time was 17 years old when we went to Ghana. She hadn't turned 18. She was 17 years old, and they gave her a 5-year passport, and I didn't know that if you're under the age of 18, I believe your passport could only be 5 years max. Because when I went to get my son's passport and I asked him, I asked the lady, how long is the passport for? She said, it's good for 5 years. So he's 10 now, which means if he gets a passport now, when he gets his passport now, he'll have to renew it at 15, and then at 20 he can finally get his 10-year passport. That's crazy to think that my son is gonna have a passport, and we're gonna get to start the Jeep Talk real quick. That's crazy to see that my son is gonna have a passport, and my daughter had a passport before they turned 18, and I didn't get a passport till I was 20. I want to say 22, 23, or 22. It's crazy, but it's a good feeling though. It's a good feeling. All right, y'all. We chatted enough. We opened up enough. Welcome to Jeep Talk, episode 79. Afraid to fail. The easiest way to a life of mediocrity. Let me try to explain the title and why I said that. Recently, there was a big thing called Streamer University, and a lot of people said, "Oh my God, it's impossible to get into. It's impossible to do things, and you shouldn't do it, or you shouldn't apply because you're too old. And why do you want to apply?" And my reason was a lot different than everybody else's reason, because I've been around longer than anybody else, and I felt as though I wanted to try to give the youth the opportunity to learn from somebody who's been able to keep a consistent mentality and a consistent channel for almost 17 years. And while I did not get accepted in, because I knew that wasn't the ceiling, that wasn't the top, it never really changed anything. But if I was afraid to fail and didn't try my hardest to get in, then there's a chance that in the end of my life, I could be like, damn, I never really tried to help the content creators understand that hey, just being silly, just dancing, just embarrassing yourself, just doing whatever you got to do for clout is not a great long-term strategy. It's not a great long-term strategy, and I don't know many people who are still around that had that strategy for long periods of time. Even to the point of the series called Jackass was a big series everybody followed, but it is not around anymore. Why is it not around anymore? Because the crash out ability of the series Jackass on TV didn't allow it to be able to be something forever. So that was the message that I wanted to try to get out on through Streaming University, and I wasn't able to. So I failed in trying to acquire that. It's always a lesson learned, but I failed in trying to acquire that status. But I would do it. If I won't do it again, but I would have. If I had to go back and do it, I would do the exact same thing. I wouldn't change anything, because I realized that through my life, the reason why I am where I am, able to travel to a different country every month, able to have multiple kids in great areas, and God damn, she fine. Able to spend and own property and stuff, is because there is a lot of things along my property. Let me roll the window up real quick because I want the window to continue. There's a lot of things along the process of my life that I tried and failed, but I learned when I failed. I learned something when I failed, and because if I had never tried something, and if I would have never tried, for example, let me give you guys examples because I like giving you the examples because I think examples make it more clearer of an explanation. So at 32 years old, I bought my first house. My first house was move-in readyable, like meaning I could move in. I didn't have to do nothing. All I needed a down deposit, which I had. All I needed was the credit, which I had. A stable job, which I had. It was the smoothest transaction ever. I bought my first house in West Orange. I moved in there. I lived on one floor. I had a friend who wanted to rent the basement at the time, and I didn't have a tenant on the second floor. Now, while I've been living on my own since 18, and I've been able to manage roommates because, you know, I didn't have the money to just live by myself, so I had to get roommates over time. I learned to have the roommates, and through roommates, I learned how to interact with people that I may or may not have been the coolest with or known, or people's personalities, right? But I had never rented to anybody before. And I said, hey, I got an upstairs, I need to save some money, and if I rent upstairs in my first house, then I can possibly save money and be able to travel, be able to give my children a better life. But I'm afraid, because what if that tenant becomes the tenant of hell and it's hard to get him out or her out? What if that the city says I'm doing something wrong and fines me? What if I'm not a good landlord and I mess up? But I didn't let fear trick me into not doing it and living a life of mediocrity and say, hey, I don't need the tenant upstairs. Let me just leave that place space and just live a regular life, work hard, go to work, pay my bills. I got one tenant downstairs, one of my friends downstairs, I could be good. But that would have set me in a life of mediocrity. So I learned about how I tried it. I attempted it. And the first tenant was really good. It was actually, my tenants were really good, but it had ups and downs. They was running late sometimes, ups and downs. They needed this help, this help, this help. But if I was afraid to try that, I would have never been able to travel to Brazil. I would have never been able to travel to Colombia. I would have never been able to buy multiple cars. I would have never been able to see multiple things, because that fear would have kept me from finding a tenant to live in my house, which saved me a lot of money. Growing up in Newark, New Jersey, another story. Growing up in Newark, New Jersey, in East New Jersey, in Irvington, New Jersey, Essex County, there's not many people who like the truth, especially when I was younger. There's not a lot of many people. When I was younger, being like 19, 20, 21, I'm 42 now. There's not a people who like to travel in my urban area. I was lucky enough to have a brother who liked to travel. But trying to get people to travel as much as I want to was very difficult. Trying to get the money to travel like I wanted to was very difficult. So what I do, I said, hey, I could be afraid and not go anywhere because I don't have anybody else to go with me. Or I could not be afraid, not live a life of mediocrity, and just go by myself to countries that I've never been before. Let's go to Costa Rica by myself. Let's go to Mexico by myself. Let's go to Colombia by myself. England by myself. France by myself. I don't gotta speak the language. I work it out in the instinct, in the end. Everything I did, even when I failed, like when I went to France, I wasn't able to really communicate with people and vibe the way I normally vibe. When I went to England, I didn't get the biggest chance that I did. I didn't get a chance to enjoy it as much as I wanted to. When I went to Colombia. So again, to me, if you are afraid, fail. If you're afraid that you'll get over to Colombia and you get over to Mexico, polymine. If you're afraid, you'll get over to Cartagena and all the girls that want money. If you're afraid, you go over to Brazil and you get robbed because you don't speak the language. If you're afraid, you're going to end up living a life of mediocrity. I'm trying to get to y'all comments, but I don't know why it's not showing up on the screen right here. Let me try to, I'm going to try to do y'all. I'm going to try to close it out and open it back up. I don't know. It's just somebody type 1 in the room. Let me know. You guys, I can see your comments, y'all. Because I don't know if y'all just not commenting or if not. Because I'm on the live, y'all. If y'all don't type 1 in the room, I'll sign out and sign back in. Because sometimes it does that for some reason on my live where I can't see the comments on the side of the screen. So let me just talk for a little bit longer. The one thing that, and there's nothing wrong. I should have started off with this. There's nothing wrong with living a life of mediocrity. There's nothing wrong with living a life. You go to work, you come home, you take care of your kids. You got a wife or you don't have a wife. You have a girlfriend. You guys watch Netflix. You go to sleep. You do the same thing every day. There's nothing wrong with living that lifestyle until you realize you never gave any other lifestyle a chance, and your entire life has been the same thing over and over and over again. And the reason why it's been that way is because you was afraid to take the chance and fail at something. The same way people was afraid to take the chance and travel because I heard somebody just they're expelling people in Colombia, meaning Medellin, Colombia. I feel like a lot of times people rather, and this is true, most people knows this, people rather deal with the struggle they know than to go to a place of hope that can possibly give you less of a struggle or possibly give you no struggle because of the fear of going there. Because of the fear of going there. I mean, this conversation might not be for everybody. This conversation, again, these Jeep Talks, if you're just joining in, we're going to restart the live and we'll come right back. This is Jeep Talk, episode 79. Fear is being afraid is the easiest way to mediocrity. Now, if you're watching the chat, we're going to restart the live real quick because I can't see y'all comments. And I just want to make sure it's up in there. Give me a second, y'all. One second. All right, we back. I can see the comments now, y'all. I can see the comments now. My fault, y'all. I try to engage with the audience, so I want to make sure I can see the comments. Shout out to Worldwide Chris in the building. Shout out to Mr. Flip Flop. What it do? Exactly. You can't be afraid to fail. I'll tell you this much. I won't tell you guys what I have planned for the future, but I will tell you this. There is one place outside of Colombia this year that I'm going to. And a lot of people are not going there right now because they're afraid to fail when it comes to enjoying themselves and then when it comes to content creation. And while that may be a thing, we're going to see. I'm not afraid to find out, and we're going to see. Shout out to HD Chillin' in the building. What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? U-Turn says, well said, travel to Brazil and Colombia alone. Whoa, that's tough. That's a tough thing. Where's Milano? What up, what up, what up, what up? Flyboy, exactly. Can't be afraid to fail. All right, I got you guys now. I can see you guys comments now. All right, listen again. The issue with being afraid to fail is that the people who are afraid to fail are less likely to succeed, because in every failure is a lesson, and in every failure you become better at what you're trying to do. You become better or more understanding on what you're trying to do. Everybody, there's some people who don't want to pick the wrong baby mother. Let me tell you this, y'all. As a person with 2 baby mothers, there's no way you're ever going to pick the perfect baby mother. I don't know. Maybe if you don't have a kid, you might not grasp it yet. But just listen to me. As a person who has 2 baby mothers from 2 different ethnicities, Ghanaian and white American, you're never going to pick the perfect baby mother. Should you have qualities that you would like? Yes. You should definitely have qualities that you would like in your baby mother. You should definitely have qualities that are a must-have in your baby mother. But if you can't get everything you want, you can't get that 9, 10 physical looking, with a great personality, she speaks different languages, she travels the world. If you can't get that, she makes a lot of money, and she's what do they call it? Fit, feminine, and submissive. If you can't get that perfect woman, you won't ever get that perfect woman to be a baby mother. But if you're afraid to have a kid or deal with a woman because of all the stuff you see, you're going to end up being 50, 60 years old. And now you're at the point where you either got to just shoot anything up or not have a kid. All because you was afraid that the woman that you have a kid with could be a hood rat. You was afraid that the woman that you had a kid with could be a pro in Colombia, could be a favela girl in Brazil, could be a racist woman from Argentina. Like, again, if you're afraid to fail, that's the quickest way to lead in a life of mediocrity, yo. In any aspect, I'm giving you guys multiple different aspects because everyone is not going to relate to travel. Everyone is not going to relate to owning property and that or investment in that aspect of afraid to fail. Everyone is not going to relate to having kids and being afraid to fail when you're picking a baby mother. But there will be something that you relate to, that you can relate your life to, when you may or may have not been afraid to fail, and the results was directly attached to your fear of failure. Again, and this is not a one-time thing, y'all. This is not a one-time thing. This is an everyday thing, y'all. Right now, there's 10 people in the room, and there's other people watching. You could think of something that you're afraid to do, but you want to do, but you're afraid to fail. And you may not be doing it because of that reason. I want to have a kid in Colombia super bad because I don't want to get I don't want to get in a situation because I know how free-willed I am. And somebody just sent me a message earlier. I know how free-willed I am about speaking my mind. And I just dropped a video. I'm very creative. And in the video, I'm kissing 2 girls with my shirt off and a towel wrapped around my waist, just coming out the shower. Somebody sent me a message and said, yo, you better be careful. You better hurry up and get your visa so they don't kick you out. They don't let you in. Is there a fear in that? Slightly. Of course, there's going to be some kind of fear, like me expressing myself in that way, even though it's even though it's not promotion, even though it's not, as tourism. It's just me expressing my lifestyle. There's always going to be a little fear of that. But if I let that stop me from putting out the content that I feel is going to show my real life and help other people out, then I plan on living a life of mediocrity. I plan on living a life of mediocrity because if I can't express myself fully because I'm afraid that I will no longer get access to a place that I really love, I really like a lot, love, whatever, then what's the whole purpose of what I'm doing? If the purpose is I'm trying to show people another way, but I don't want to show people another way because I'm scared of what can happen with me. I'm afraid of what can happen with me. This is how we get gatekeepers. And this is why I say that gatekeepers is all a mental thing, but this is why I say that I don't agree. Everybody has their own thing. I don't agree with people gatekeeping a place because anyone who is gatekeeping a place, is most likely gatekeeping a place out of fear, out of being afraid that, A, the place may change and they won't recognize it next time they go. B, the place may get more expensive than they can afford. C, the women that they look for in these places may no longer be interested in them because they've seen something different. At least one of those is the reason why people gatekeep a place. I don't want Thailand to be as crazy and to be crazy, so I'm not going to tell people they can come over here and live a lifestyle that works for them in a better range. I'm afraid. I'm not going to tell people to keep coming to Colombia because the price is going to change. Medellin is getting more expensive. I pay too much rent as an expat. I pay too much as a mongerer. I pay too much because they're afraid. Because they're afraid it'll get to a point where they can't afford it no more. You shouldn't let fear be the determining factor of how you live. It's a baseline to that because life is going to happen. And I'm going to shout you guys. Shout out to 215 in the building. Milano says, I was just telling someone this the other day, man, listen. He said, shout out to 215. Michael Williams says, facts. I was only going to Cartagena for the reason why I go to other cities in Cali. Each one teach one, man. Listen. I know this is going to come off like a rant. We almost at work my job now. Hopefully the service is better this way. But honestly, yo, see, again, I know it's not going to make sense to some people. This is what I'm going to say. It's not going to make sense to some people because the fear is already in their heart. The fear is in their mind. They're like, oh my God, I don't want people to ruin Lima, Peru. So I'm not going to show them the stuff in Lima, Peru that's going to help them out have a good time when they go there. Or if they get tired of Colombia and they want to go to Panama, I'm not going to show them what parts of Panama they can go to get a similar vibe without the stuff that they don't like. Because I'm afraid that if I show them, they're going to mess it up for me. And I'm not going to be able to go back. Again, man, don't be afraid and let that be a downfall, man. I've been in this content creating game for almost 17 years. It'll be 17 years in November on YouTube. I've been doing content longer than that, but on YouTube specifically, 17 years. I've live streamed since 2017. I did an 11-hour live stream the other day. 11 and a half plus live stream the other day in another country. Was I afraid that I don't want to do it because my live stream might die and everybody be like it's a failure? No. The service might be bad? No. Oh, I might get in trouble because if the police stopped us while we was driving and I was live streaming? No. And because I wasn't afraid, I was able to bring to you guys something amazing, something spectacular. I was able to bring to you guys something that was never done. The people who are not afraid will always become the innovators. The people who are not afraid will always become the leaders and will always become the people who change history. So as we pull up at work right now, and try to find some damn parking, I want you guys to remember, never let fear stray you away from, oh, this is crazy. Never let fear stray you away from trying something. Never let fear stop you from, or the fear of failure. Don't never let the fear of failure stop you from pursuing something or stop you from promoting or showing something to somebody who it can help. Because at the end of the day, y'all, the day gotta end. Oh, wake up, man. Like, hold on, let me find somewhere to park, y'all. It's crazy. Ain't even no park. All these damn cars, bro. I'm probably sure I park. I don't know, man. Give me a second, y'all. I ain't really know where to park, bro. I ain't put my car in here, bro. Shit, I'm just trying to get your comments, y'all. Swiss Camp, thanks, bro. This was heavy. Bless you and always have a safe travel. Appreciate that, man. We back on the road next week. Next week we're going to we staying in the States though. Next week we're going to where we going next week? Oh, we're going to Dallas. I really want to try to get with DC Born Rob. I think he's in Dallas. But next week we're going to Dallas, y'all. There ain't no parking spaces, man. Hold on a second, y'all. I gotta try to park illegally. Alright, here we go. I don't really like these two. Oh, wait, hold up. I think he parked illegally. So we're gonna do park illegally in front of him. Alright, cool. Now, hold on, y'all. Let me get your comments. We got about a good 5 minutes before we get up out of here. Alright, here we go. Alright. Love the live videos. I appreciate that, Miss Utasuta. If you can live in any country outside the US, where would it be? Colombia. Thanks, bro. This was heavy. I appreciate that, Swiss. Yeah, again. I would live in Colombia if I couldn't live in the United States, but the United States will always be my home. It'll always be my first home. Me personally, like, I plan on living in Colombia at least 6 months a year once I retire in 8 years. If I was afraid to retire early, I'm gonna tell you guys something that, you know, I don't know. I always tell my story. My aunt is just passed away on July 4th. My aunt passed away on July 4th. She was 59 years old and retired. She retired from being a prison guard. She retired from being a prison guard in her early 50s, like 52, 53. But because of she had some medication and stuff, she had to do some stuff, but she was able to retire early and enjoy a good 7 to 8 years being retired. Shout out to OG Kicks in the building. Had she been afraid not to retire and would have still been working, she would have died while she was working. My aunt died at 59. My grandfather died at 72. I'm 42 right now. I'm already past my midlife. Midlife, for those who don't know, is half of what your life you're supposed to be. You're most likely going to live. Most men are going to most likely live to 74 at the most, on average. They do. So black men, we most likely live to 72 on average. That's just average. So half of 72 is 36. I am 6 years past my midlife. Shout out to Big LA and salute. I am six years past midlife. And I'm 17 years away from when my aunt just died at 59. I don't want to waste any time being afraid of retiring early. So I'm going to retire at 50 years old. And the only reason I haven't retired yet is, one, because I believe it's best for my son to live with me. And two, because I want to show my kids that you can work 25 years and retire, just in case they're not entrepreneurs the way I am. If I feared retirement, I would be working for the rest of my life, or working until I was 70 something. But when I retire, I plan on going to Colombia for 6 months. Now, in this process, I do plan on having a kid, so I would spend a lot of time going back and forth. But I plan on staying in Colombia. And when I say Colombia, I don't just mean Medellin. I don't just mean Barranquilla. I mean, as you see on my channel, this whole year, I've been moving around Colombia. I've already been to all these places. The only other place I have to go to is Thailand. That I want to go to, rather, is Thailand. I've been to all these other places. I've been to Iceland. I've been to Trinidad. I've been to Jamaica. I've been to Puerto Rico. Not out of the country, but I've been to England. I've been to Stonehenge. I've been to France. I've been to Dubai. I've been to Abu Dhabi. I've been to all these other places already. And some people say, yo, Flyboy, why are you going to the same places over and over again? Because people don't do research to understand that I've been all these other places already. But what I'm doing now is I'm trying to build a connection with the people in Colombia that see me coming to the state country over and over again, staying in the same place. All the security guards know me. Staying in the same place in Barranquilla where I wanna eventually buy a property. So this is a process that a lot of people don't get to because they're afraid to plan like that. And a lot of people don't get to that. Again, this year alone, I've been to Minca, Colombia. I've been to Bogota, Colombia. Barranquilla, Colombia. Santa Marta, Colombia. San Andreas, Colombia. We're going to Cali, Colombia next month. I'm going to try to sneak in at least Bucaramanga or Pereira. I haven't decided, because I did tell a chick I might go with her to Puerto Rico for a weekend in November. But that just depends how, because my son is going to different school now, so that depends how that goes. But all in all, y'all, you can't be afraid to do something different. Because when you're afraid to do something different, you allow fear to stop you from doing something different, you're going to end up with a life of mediocrity. You're going to end up that guy who's just working all their life. You're going to end up that lady who's afraid to go to a place, so she didn't know that Thailand could have helped you retire earlier. She didn't know that Colombia could have been a place where you learned the culture and you fell in love with the people. We got 3 minutes left, y'all. So if you got any questions now, y'all can ask me. We got 3 minutes left. I gotta go punch in. It's just, again, if you're just tuning in, this is Jeep Talk, episode 79. I mean, don't be afraid, y'all, because again, yo, life's too short. Life is too short, man. It's definitely too short. So when you ask what place would I live live in Colombia, man. I would live in Colombia. And I probably would spend, of course, I would spend the most time in Barranquilla. I would spend at least 4 months, probably 3-4 months in Barranquilla. I might actually try to spend a month in Cali. 3 months in Barranquilla, a month in Cali, maybe 2-3 weeks in Medellin. Maybe I'll vibe out and go to San Andreas for 2 weeks. Just to, and, but go in the hill part where the locals stay and just vibe out, and then Cuba. Hopefully Cuba will be back by that time. Cuba for a month. I would do Cuba for a month, but the only way I do Cuba for a month is if I know my son is in college or my son is doing his work. He got a place to stay at the house that I own. My daughter, she's doing her work and she's doing what she's doing, and she has a place to stay at the other house I own. That's the only way I would do Cuba for a month, because the issue is when you do Cuba for a month, for the most part, you're going to be cut off to the world. you're going to be really cut off to the complete world. And you got to be cool with being cut off of the world. Like in Thailand, you're cut off kind of, but not really. You can still get internet. You can still do all that. But in Cuba, you're going to be a lot more cut off to the world. So it's a little bit different. Big LA says, I'm going to get you a question, Michael. Give me a second. Big LA says, taking my first solo trip to Rio next week, bro. Turning 35 next weekend. Investing and traveling. That's what it is, man. That's why I tell people to travel. Because when you travel, you realize what's possible. You realize what's possible. And once you realize what's possible, because you wasn't afraid to travel, you come back to the States with a whole different mentality. And you move differently. You don't want to go out to the club and pop bottles all the time. You don't want to spend $200 on taking a girl on a date. You don't want to spend you don't want to get a lease for a car that's going to cost you $700, $800, $900 a month. You don't want to get that lease because you know what you could do with that money. You know that $900 could be 2 months in Colombia you could live. You know that, hey, if I didn't have this high apartment fee, I could cut this down and I could use this 1 year of paying this apartment, which might be what, $20,000 to pay for my apartment, which is $2,000 a month, or $1,700 a month. It's $20,000, and if I save it for 2 years, I could buy a crib in Colombia, and now I wouldn't have to worry about that again. So again, man, good luck with the travel, Big LA. Michael Williams, how do you work and travel so much? All right, so it's multiple reasons, but the main 2 reasons is this. I've been working at my company for 24 years. I work at FedEx. You see trucks in the background. I've been working at this company for almost 24 years. I'll be 24 years in November. So I do have an extensive amount of time off. When you go over 20 years, they give you 5 weeks off of work. And then you have 4 holidays that you can take anytime you want. And then you have 5 sick days you can take any time you want. So if you add it up and you just add this round up, you have altogether, I have 34 days. I have 34 days out of a year I can take. 34 days is more than a month. So there's a chance that if I wanted to, I could take a whole month off. I could take a whole month off and just go where I want to go and then come back and I still have like 3 days left to take during the course of the year. But what I do instead is I manage it. What's it called? Workload it. I manage it so that I can go somewhere every other month. Right now I have Fridays and Saturdays. I have Saturdays and Sundays off. So having Saturdays and Sundays off means that if I want a 3 or 4 day weekend, all I got to do is take 2 days off. So if I have 30, follow me, y'all. If I have 30 days, right, or 34 days, and I want to get a 4-day weekend every month, I'm going to need to use 24 days. 2 days times 12. I'm going to use 24 days. That still leaves me with 10 days left during the course where I can go to Cali or I can do something like that. So imagine with that, I'm able to take the Cali trip and then every month go on a 4-day vacation somewhere. Now, because I didn't like the 4-day vacations, I didn't like the short vacations anymore, what I can now do is say, okay, if I want to spend more time, I'll just take away 2 days and I'll go every other month. So that means that the 2 days that I didn't go, I can add that to the next month. So now I have 6 days every other month where I can go somewhere. And that's how I've been able to work and still go to Colombia every other month for a week. So again, it definitely has to do a lot with me just being at the company I've been at for so long and getting the vacation days. But it also has to do with the planning and how I'm able to do that. Now, financially, that's a whole different subject. Financially, again, I've been a millionaire by net worth, which is millionaire, since I was 35 years old. I own properties. I sold my Miami property and I got some money. I paid off all my debt. I got about $7,000 in credit card debt because I had to fix some things. But after, and I just got another tenant. After my tenants, I'll give you guys an estimate. I don't want to tell you guys exactly how much I make because it's a significant lot. How do I word this right? I have 2 homes, and in those 2 homes, I have 5 units that are rented. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. No, hold up. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 units that are rented. I'm not going to tell you what 2 of them pay, but one of them pays $2,000, one of them pays $2,200, and the other one pays $900. So if we just add the 3 units that I told you guys, that's $2,000, $4,200. Let's just round up and say $5,000. Just for the 3 units that I told you guys, that's $5,000. If you do $5,000 and you subtract the $4,300 I have to pay in my mortgage, and another $200 I have to pay for the water bill, I'm walking away with just those 3 units with $600 a month. To go to Barranquilla cost me $510 on or $510 on United from New Jersey, because I go through Bogota. And then the Airbnb cost me for a week cost me another $300. So basically that's how I'm easily able to do it. Just financially. I try to give you guys, of course I didn't give you everything, but I try to give you the financial part and the what's the name part too. But I gotta get to work, y'all. Let me get to your last comments to show you guys. Appreciate you guys. Raffo says, I see you moving out there. We keep doing you. I appreciate it, man. Also talking to a lender after seeing, oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. Yo, listen. Again, I personally would not, and I gotta get going. I personally would not ever buy a 1-family house unless it was just nothing in my area that was 2-family. Because and the 1 family is something I could live in. I would never buy a 1-family house unless it's something I could live in a basement and rent the 1 family. Always buy a 2-family or more so you can live in 1 floor and rent the other floor. Because if something doesn't make you money, it's a liability. A liability stops you from having freedom. If something makes you money, regardless if it doesn't pay it fully, it's saving you money from renting. Therefore, it's not necessarily a liability. It's a benefit. It's an investment. Shout out to Big LA again. Yes, sir, that's the mindset I'm already on. Took this past year to go monk mode. Okay. And get my itch together and plan. Well, I wouldn't do monk mode, but I understand how that really definitely, monk mode definitely helps you out with a boost. Yo, listen, it's time to execute, man. Shout out to Xavier Moore. I'm not going to tell you, but 1 is 2,000. Where did I buy my properties? I bought my properties in West Orange and Newark. I also had a condo in Miami Beach that I sold. So West Orange was my first property. Newark was my second property. Miami Beach was my third property. And my 4th property would probably be in Colombia, but I no longer have my 3rd property, so that'll be my new 3rd property. I appreciate everybody for joining this live. I know it started kind of late because I had to go and end it and bring it back. But this has been Jeep Talk episode 79. Don't be afraid to fail, because being afraid to fail is the quickest way to a life of mediocrity. It's your boy FRE, $H Fresh at the Flyboy Way. That's THEFLYBOYWAY. Don't ask why, just check out the channel. Hold up. Y'all see, I wasn't afraid. And if you haven't watched the recent series, we got a snacks episode coming out tonight. I wasn't afraid to take 2 women to an island and pay for everything. And you see how that turned out. If you haven't, go watch the series. Snacks episode 15, Double Scoop, comes out later today. Peace, y'all. I'll see you on the next video.